In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White. You know, I've come to believe that purpose is never an accident, that the men and women who rise, not just above poverty, not just above circumstance, but above the very gravitational pull of what the world has decided they should be. Those men and women were held by something the naked eye cannot always see. They were held by faith, by sacrifice, by the quiet, stubborn, absolutely relentless prayers of someone who loved them before they could even understand what love required. Tonight, we're talking about that kind of man. But before we get there, I want you to think for a moment about what it means to grow up in an urban neighborhood in America. It is not a one-dimensional story that evening news tries to sell you. It is a place where people love deeply and grieve hard, where front porches hold community councils and kitchens hold the most sacred conversation of a life. It is a place where brilliance is everywhere, in the way people move, in the music they make, in the way they raise their children with very little and somehow give them everything. Cleveland, Ohio knows this story. Cleveland has produced genius. Cleveland has raised warriors, and Cleveland, Ohio has raised our guest tonight. City about the particular texture of survival and triumph that Northeast Ohio places in the souls of its people that you cannot fully explain. You can only witness it, and when you witness it, you recognize it immediately. A certain groundness, a certain refusal to be diminished, a certain insistence on showing up fully in every room you enter. That is the Cleveland that shaped Dr. Anthony H. Brown, and the prayers of his mother and his grandmother are the reasons he was listening when Cleveland was teaching. What I want you to know about our guest tonight is this. He is not a man who stumbled into greatness. He is a man who was called towards it, tested by the journey, and refined by every single step. He stood on the stage of Caramel House Theater, one of the most historic African-American cultural institutions this country has ever produced, and he poured himself out in service of stories that had to be told. He stood in front of 1.4 million homes as a television host on Another Look, not to be seen, but to make people feel seen. He sat down and wrote a book, Inspire Me Moments, Living Out Loud with No Regrets, that has traveled across this nation and across international borders, finding its way into the hands of people who needed it exactly when they needed it. He built a podcast in his living room during a global pandemic and raised over $180,000 for HBCU awareness. And then he created the HBCU Man Cave, a space where Black men could fully be honest, fully present, and fully themselves. That is not a resume. That is a mission, and it is exactly the kind of mission that belongs on America in Black and White. Because this show, everything we do here, is built on the belief that Black stories deserve the full frame, not the highlight reel, not the tragedy reel, but the full, complicated, beautiful, textured truth of Black life in America. The faith and the doubt, the triumph and the grief, the art and the advocacy, the love and the work. And tonight, we have a man in our presence whose life is all of those things at once. Dr. Anthony H. Brown, author, performer, television host, HBCU champion, community architect, and one of the most genuine human beings I have had the honor of knowing. Welcome to America in Black and White tonight. We are living out loud together. Let's get into it and let's welcome Dr. Anthony H. Brown to the show.
Oh my gosh, wait a minute, where am I? What's happening?
I don't see you, Dr. Oh, Dr. Brown, your camera's off.
Oh no, here we go. Wait a minute. Bam! I had to come in hot for you real quick. That's how you make an entrance.
How are you this evening, sir?
Listen, I am absolutely amazing. I really am. I
Well,
won't look like that.
Well, welcome to the show. And is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we get into the show?
You know what? Hey, audience. I hope all is well. Let's get into it. Let's get into some of this conversation today.
So what I like to do is first I like to start with giving people the opportunity to get to know a little bit more about you as we delve into this wonderful journey of yours.
Okay.
So can you take us back to the beginning, the neighborhood, the block, the world you grew up in? What did it look, sound, and feel like? And what do you want people to understand about where you came from that they might not assume?
Okay, now see, listen. The neighborhood. So, oh wow. Like many of my classmates, counterparts, people who look like us. I was not born with the silver spoon in my mouth. Okay, and we was from the neighborhood. But I'm thankful I had a mother and a grandmother who were resilient enough to be like, no, we got to do something better. And we were able to move from out of the neighborhood and into a little bit more of a more what we think of as a safer, smaller suburban community outside of Cleveland. Again, not saying that we moved up, we just moved over. So we were not the Jeffersons. But, a little bit better than where we were, so we might have been off now I ain't gonna say Skid Row, but we were in that, it was a rough part of town where my mother and grandmother was at, and so we were able to thankfully get out of that space, and and actually I'm thankful. I am now, I've been in my childhood home. Here I am, I'm 56 years old, and I still live in my childhood home.
Wow. So, what was the one thing about that environment that surprised outsiders most?
The neighborhood I came from, or where I am now?
No, the neighborhood you came from.
It just didn't. I don't know if my mother and my grandmother saw it. It was a place that was going to flourish. It was a place that was going to fully embrace a man of color and to really push where, as opposed to just going through status quo and this is all we got and this is the woe is me. My mother wanted something better. And so she's like, in order to do something better, to want something better, you got to do something better. And so she worked hard, and she got me out of there. My dad was around, but just like the songwriter said, Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Well, I have a comment here. You can respond to these if you like. This is Carol. I put it on the screen, and she says "Black Magic."
I don't know what that means, but come on, yes, it is. We're gonna live in all this, in the magic that is black, and it is what it is. And Yeah, I can do magic. Hey, we're
Um,
gonna have a good time tonight. Hey.
so let me say, your mother and your grandmother are central figures in your story. Describe them to us, not just who they were to you, but who they were as women. What made them extraordinary?
Wow. Whew. My mom and my grandmother they were they were my everything. They were my life, my breath, the reason I got up every morning. They were matriarchs in family. My grandmother, it was 12 of my grandmother siblings, and I think she and my grandmother herself had 6 kids. But my grandmother was one that she didn't have a formal education. I think she got as far as maybe seventh, eighth grade, maybe. But she wanted to make sure that her kids and as many of her grandkids as possible could at least finish high school. And then at some point, somebody needs to go to college. And so I was that one. I was the first grandchild to finish school. We had a couple who attempted and didn't finish, but I was the first to finish. I was determined to do that. Because sometimes when you go to school, sometimes you're not just going for you, you're going for mom and them, the whole 9 yards. You're going to school for everybody. Yep.
So, can you share a specific moment with one of them that you carry with you to this day?
Oh, listen. Listen. My mama is with me every step of the way. I have a tattoo on my back that reminds me, and it's actually a tattoo of both my mom's birthday, my father's birthday, and my son's birthday. And I refer to them as the 3 people who have my back. So she's with me every day, all day. It's just part of who I am. How I think about how I interact with people, how I love, how I support, all that is because of my mother.
So, what is a moment that you can share that you and your mother had that you carry with you today?
Listen, so my mother. Okay, I'm gonna give a funny one right now. So I'm gonna give a funny one. So now, mind you, my mother was the fashionista. I would say my mother was. Now, mind you, we didn't have it all together. People thought we had people thought we had moved up. We didn't. Even though I was talking to my cousins just recently, and we thought you was the rich one in the family. Like I was not. But it was funny. Now, my mother was a dynasty soap opera. I'm taking you back. For those who know, and Dynasty back in the day. Now, Charles, I know you know about some Dynasty.
Yes, most definitely. There's nothing like Dominique and Crystal.
That part right there. So my mother was like a Dominique Devereaux.
Okay.
Sharp, pristine, well put together. When I tell you, my mother and my aunt would go to the mall in a jogging suit and a full-length fur coat.
Oh no, stop the madness.
That was my fashion sense right there.
Oh wow.
And I remember that moment. So now I'm like, I don't come out the house half stepping, even if I got to take the garbage out, or because somebody might see me.
Right.
So, but that was a moment that my mother always reminded me, like, you not so much worried about what other people think of you, but how do you think of yourself?
Right.
And how do you want to be portrayed, and what makes you feel good? And so for her, putting on that jogging suit with that fur coat, that made her feel good. Up until my mother's last days, she was always about having her hair done, nails done. Her room had to be a certain way. She had to have her clothes in her closet in a certain pattern. And I'm like, girl, if you don't get somewhere to sit down.
So you've spoken about the power of prayer in shaping your path. What did prayer look like in your household growing up? Was it something only that you witnessed, participated in, or something you came to understand only later?
All the above. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I was drugged. Now, listen, truth, straight, no chaser, drugged. And you like, what does he mean? Listen, Charles, when I was drugged by my mother and my grandmother. I was drugged to Sunday school, drugged to Bible study. I was drugged to choir rehearsal. I was drugged to usher board meeting. I was drugged to BTU. I was drugged every time that church doors open.
I think that's one of those things that's big in our community in general, because I tell you, I remember the day going to church 7 days a week.
Oh, I had
7 days a
to.
week.
So it was instilled in me. So, you know, when the songwriter said, don't forget the family prayer. Oh, come on, somebody.
Yes. So when did you first feel that those prayers were actually working in your life?
I think it had its ebbs and flows. I think the power of prayer was always constant. I don't know if I always recognized it until maybe after the fact when you were in trouble and be like, or you might have realized the danger seen or unseen, and you like, oh my gosh. It was like, you think about like, had it not been, or you think about, Lord, forgive me. And, you know, and just that that mistake, that it could have been worse.
Right.
You know, oh, come on, somebody. It could have been me. It should have been me.
Right.
Had it not been for the blood. So I think that there were moments where I don't always realize that, oh, that was that prayer. Not whether it was from mom and them, it was a prayer that the pastor gave. It was the prayer that, you know, maybe just a little, Lord, forgive me. But it's the fact that there were some days where I didn't even realize the power and the impact that it had. Until sometimes you go back and you sit and reflect, like, oh, even just this morning, I was running late to work, and I got at this one light, and there was a car in front of me, and I was tempted to just going around that car and just speed on past and go about my business, right?
Right.
And I said, Lord, maybe I don't need to be, maybe I should just take my time today. Sure enough, I waited till the light turned green, the car went on through, and I went on through. On the opposite side of the light was the police.
Oh, wow.
Now, mind you, I normally run that light. I ain't even gonna hold you. I normally run that light. Right. But today, I said, no, you know what? It is what it is. I'm late. Lord, I ain't gonna make it on time. If I'm late, I'm either just gonna be late and stop and give me a cup of coffee and mind my business.
So, you know, you watch peers around you go in very different directions. You did not have to go far to see the pitfalls. What, in your honest recollection, kept you from taking a different road? Was it a decision, a relationship, or something more spiritual?
I think I was just scared to go to hell. Down for real. I think it was just the whole thing of just going to all of those Sunday school classes and Bible study and Baptist training unit. I didn't want to go to hell. And I was scared that if I make a mistake, I make one mistake, I'm going damnation, and I didn't want to do it. So I'm like, I'm just going to just try to do my best to stay on the straight and narrow as much as now. I ain't going to say I was the smartest of the bunch now. I ain't going to say that part. But as far as some morals and values, I'm going to stay on the straight and narrow as much as I can.
So I want to say hello to all of our guests that are joining us tonight. Thank you all for joining us. And you know, we're glad that you guys are here, and I want to welcome you to put your questions and comments in the chat. Again, here's another comment for you.
I see the black magic again. I don't know what it means, but I'm here for it.
Yep, she's black magic. And so can you tell us, is there a specific person or moment that represents a turning point, a fork in the road you clearly remember?
Well, see, I would say there's probably multiple forks in the road. I don't even know where we could even. I don't know if that might be a fork in the road in high school. It might be a fork in the road when I was in college. It might have been a fork in the road during my marriage or my divorce. It might have been a fork in the road when I was going through just life. So, Charles, there's so many forks in the road. So I'm gonna go back to high school, right? I use this first one, and there may be some others. And actually, I talk about him in my book. Actually, his name is Hal Patillo. He was not Hal Patillo. That's Charles. Hal Johnson. He was my social studies history teacher, and this man had the audacity, the nerve, the unmitigated gall to tell my mother during a parent-teacher conference, "Well, Miss Brown, you have a wonderful, amazing, energetic, talented son. I wish he could use the same creativity and skills that he uses in theater in history class. If he can learn every dance routine, every song, every line from the play, because at that time we were doing The Wiz. If he can do all that, he can learn this history." I was so pissed off at Mr. Hal Johnson. Like, who the hell do you think you are going to tell my mama what I can and can't do? I don't want to do this history. I didn't want to do it.
I understand.
But he made so much sense. At the time, I didn't understand it. I couldn't see it. I wasn't receiving it. But he made so much sense. When I finally got to undergrad, when I got to Bethune-Cookman, I was writing about, we was in one of those English classes, I had to write about a teacher. I ended up writing about him.
Wow.
About how he made an impact on me during that time in high school. And so I ended up coming back to my high school years later after I had finished undergrad school, right? And I ended up working at my high school.
Right.
And so he became one of my colleagues.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so then so he was also, Mr. Johnson was also like our student council advisor for like forever and a day. And when I came back, he kind of took me under his wing and he groomed me. He showed me all of the things, woo-de-woo. And then he ended up passing the torch to me. So I served as student council advisor for a number of years, all thanks to the man who challenged me in, learning transferable skills. If you can learn how to do it over there, then you can bring those same skills over here.
Here's another great comment for you here in the chat. Loving the energy, outstanding guest.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm TV360, add me in 5. Thank you so much for watching and listening and then just being a part of the conversation.
At what age did you first feel that you had a gift? Something inside you that was meant to be shared with the world. What was that discovery like?
When I woke up, when I arrived here. What? What's so funny? I'm for real.
This is what some people are just born to be, that energy, that showstopper, that natural individual. That is just you. That is just you, and that's what shines, and that's what makes the world go round.
Yeah, when I got here, again, like I said, I'm 56. I just concluded my birth month. I don't just do a birthday, do a birth month. Okay. So it was actually, my birthday is actually May 2nd, but I celebrate all month long. And first of all, I always give honor to my mom. I shout her out on my birthday. I always show her love first because I just showed up for any child. We just show up. It was the mama who did all the work. So I pay homage to her. I will always do something for her. As I got older, I would always look for my mother first before I would do anything for me. Even this year, I mean, I went to the cemetery, and I went down and I laid flowers and cleaned up the grave site and things of that nature. Just kind of had a moment, because again, had it not been for her, for providing me with the first eviction notice, she said, "Get out."
It's time, right?
So we always show love to her, but then like I said, I celebrate almost love. But I think I've just been that character ever since I was born. And so from my earliest days, I can remember from maybe preschool, kindergarten, I was always in the musicals, I was in the church plays, I was in the choir, I was doing something. Yes.
So, that special something that you had inside you, did the adults around you see it before you did?
Yeah, it was just like one of them episodes when you be like, "Oh, come in here and sing your mama's favorite song with all the family members." You got to do a little dance, do a little jig. You had to be the one. Like I had to always be on. Like just, yeah.
So you've always been a performer.
Yeah.
Cleveland, Ohio is not just a setting in your story. It feels like a character in it. So, what did Cleveland specifically give you, teach you, or demand of you in your formative years?
It provided me with a platform, a stage, an opportunity, be it from my teachers pushing me, be it the church embracing me and giving me that opportunity to do something, whether it was the community itself elevating me and allowing me to go, to support me when I went to college, for even embracing me and welcoming me back home when I came back from college. And then, just every lesson I've ever learned, good or bad, that's what Cleveland has given me.
So, can you tell us, how do you feel about the city today, and how does your work connect back to it?
Oh, I love the city. Oh, I'm here for it. I'm 10 toes down. I'm here for it all day long. I live and breathe the community in which I serve because, it's been good to me. And now, even in my current walk of life, as an advocate for family and community engagement, again, I work for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. I get to be able to interact and connect with the community all day, every day, providing opportunities and resources or making those connections to help families be able to help their scholars to the best of their ability. And whatever connections that may be. Like I had a couple companies call today, like, "Hey, we want to do something where we want to just be able to donate some school supplies and some book bags." And I was like, "Yes, and they was like, "We've been trying to get to somebody. We don't worry about who you've been trying to get to." I answered the phone today. It's a yes, and. So what do we need to do to make this happen? Thanks. Who I need to get, just tell me where I got to come pick it up. Or do I need to have you give it, or you want a place where you can go drop it off at? As a matter of fact, I'm doing some community engagement activities. Can I invite you to be a part of it? Right. It's a yes and.
Oh wow, that's wonderful. So I'm sure that the people in the community more than enjoy that and appreciate that, because it's something that really that it's a benefactor for them, but it's a helping resource.
Matter of fact, I got a call today from the mayor's office. Because they want to know if we can, we have a couple schools, as we come back, because Cleveland, like a lot of school districts across the country, we were affected by, a lot of the funding cuts and, and education reform and changes. So we had to do some changes here. We had to right size the ship. So we had to downsize some of our buildings. We had to merge. We had to consolidate some programming. We even had to lose a few teachers and educators in the process. And so as we think about we going into the new school year, the mayor's office called and said, "Well, what if we do something again to embrace this community?" We have schools having to merge. What if we did something extra special for these schools? So when school opens in the fall, we do some type of welcoming, clapping, celebration to again welcome the new students, the transfer students into the building, and things of that. And And again, it was a yes and.
Mhm.
Yep. How do you want to navigate this? And, I got a couple schools in mind. I know we need to target. I got, different fraternities, sororities, different community organizations. I have alumni associations. We have the mayor's office. We have so many different organizations that who would be willing just to be on the sidelines, on the sidewalks, in the parking lot, just to clap people in the first day of school, whether it's elementary school, middle school, or high school, to say welcome.
Wow.
Especially for those who are coming into a brand new space.
Right. Wow. So growing up, what did purpose feel like before you had the word of it, the word for it? What was pulling at you that you could not yet name?
I would say, I think it was more. I think what was pulling at me was the act of empowerment or impact. I don't know if I was ready to embrace that yet.
Okay.
Or influence. Yeah, power, impact, empowerment, impact. I don't know if I fully understood that then. But today,
Mhm.
I'm in a place where if not you, then who?
Right.
Ain't that what they say?
That's what they say.
If not now, then when?
So let's move over and let's talk a little bit about your work in the performing arts and television. So can you tell us, when did performing arts first hit you? Not as something you admired from a distance, but as something you knew was yours. What was the moment, the production, or the experience that cracked you open?
Oh my gosh, Charles, I'm thinking about, there are so many memories that come to mind. Kindergarten, being, when I was in elementary school, we used to do the school-wide musical. And every year from kindergarten, I was always in the production of doing something. But I want to say that I had to be maybe fourth or fifth grade. My mother took me to my first Broadway musical. I think, again, it was The Wiz that was on tour. So I remember when Stephanie Mills, I'm going back.
Okay.
Okay.
Stephanie Mills.
Yeah, I'm going back. I can remember that. I remember that musical vividly. And I was like, I want to do that.
So, what was it about that actually captivated you and drew you in?
The music, the color, the engagement, the people who look like me. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, you would see The Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland on TV, or you would see, other. But when I saw The Wiz, and it was people who looked like me, I said, I could do that. So my mother got me in acting classes, and I started taking theater and choir in high school, junior high and high school. And, I was fortunate because I had the same music teacher from like 7th grade to 12th grade. I had the same drama teacher from 7th grade to 12th grade. So that kind of really helped me cultivate that. Now, I didn't pursue it. I mean, I'm still in it, right? But
Right.
then my son caught the bug.
Okay.
I call him, my sequel. He caught the bug and took it a step further. I always tell him, don't be like me, be better than me.
Right.
So now my son is the playwright, professional actor, went to school, got a master's degree from Yale, and now living in New York.
Right.
And so now I'm his biggest cheerleader.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. I'm so proud of you. But can you tell us, like, during that time, and you going through performing arts, what were the things that these producers would say to you that was so forthright that it made you feel that much more comfortable in doing that craft?
I'm not gonna tell you that every producer and director was that nice, and there was some cutthroats. There was some. Listen, I even had a teacher. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I don't say this about all teachers, but I had a teacher who told me I did not have the look for television or the voice for radio.
Oh, oh wow, that's cruel.
Yeah. So at some point, and there were some other pitfalls very similar to that kind of storyline that I had to use as my motivation to kind of use it as my driving point. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to prove you wrong. I'm gonna have to prove you wrong.
Well, I tell you, Dr. Brown, they can't. There's nothing that can stop that big personality you got. There ain't nothing that can stop that. That's their mistake.
Yes.
You taught speech and drama.
Yes. Then I came, and after all that, I came back to my high school, and I taught speech and drama.
And you poured the craft into others. What did teaching reveal to you about performance, and that performing alone never could?
So I think that one of the biggest things that I learned from that experience is that everyone has the potential to perform or to produce or create. Maybe everyone's not the one on stage, but there's still some type of skill set that you can provide. I would always tell students, like, maybe the acting isn't for you. Maybe you might work good on the curtain, or maybe you could be on the lights. You can help me build the set, but we're gonna find something for you. I was never one to discourage. I want to make sure, like, where are your skill sets, and how do we amplify that? And how do we also still coach you in other places? I had a young lady. I was so excited for her a couple of weeks ago. This is about a year ago. She actually, her and I ran into each other because she was actually doing a stage reading at a local theater, and I went to audition. Right.
Okay.
Had no idea at the time it was her. Got there, and it was Deshawnda Ash. That was her name. Her name was Deshawnda Ash. Yeah, I'm gonna put it out there. And I was so excited to see her because she was one of my students. Oh, wow. And where other teachers, well, not other teachers, but maybe her classmates didn't believe in her, or they didn't think that she was going to be able to, because she was not, maybe she wasn't your typical classmate or young lady that, might have been plus size, that's all right. And might have been cute in the face, thick in the waist kind of situation. But the thing was, she had the energy, and I loved her energy and her enthusiasm, and she was willing to learn all aspects of the theater life. She ended up going to college in theater and public speaking and that sort. So now, she's been doing some different shows locally across the country, other local theaters, community theaters, things like that. So she actually wrote a play, and I went to the audition. And we ended up having a full conversation about just, oh my God, this is my teacher.
Wow.
And we just kind of had a moment and just like, let's just play catch up real quick and just talk about what's been happening. But then from there, we went on with the audition and everything. I made the cast, as part of the stage reading, that part. But it was the fact that I always wanted to support her, encourage her, when her grandmother would come to the shows, like, hey, every year she's getting a little bit better. And, and the next thing, by the time her senior, I think she was like she had the lead role in something. Like, there you go.
Wow. So what can you give some encouragement to some of our younger folk out in the audience that are watching the show tonight? What are some of the things that they can learn as to improving when it comes to doing theater and drama?
So I would say one of the biggest things, especially in the auditioning process, is like, understand that no just means you haven't given the director enough to say yes. You haven't given them enough. I said, think about it from the analogy or the standpoint. Remember when you were growing up as a kid and you'd be like, Mama, can I go to my friend's house? No, because you ain't gave enough information to your mom. I don't know who your friend, where they stay, who they mom and them, what's their phone number,
okay,
what time you gonna be back. You ain't gave enough information.
Yo.
Same thing. Sometimes you haven't given them enough to make an informed decision. Now, I'd rather you give me too much and then tell me to pull back. then not give me enough, and I don't have, and then I might say no because, well, you should have gave me that the first time. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? I love that. Let's try it this way. Now I know you got some flexibility. Oh, I know that you got some. And I would tell people, I would always start every year in my theater class. I would always start, the very first question for every student, like, because I have get students in my class like, well, Mr. Brown, at the time, like, I don't know how to act. Okay. And so I would start off the conversation like, how many of you have ever told a lie before? You just made up some fabrication and you just tried to get it, how many of y'all told a lie? I said, be true. Just tell the truth, shame the devil. How many of y'all told a lie? And they will all raise their hand. I said, okay, keep your hands up. How many of y'all ever got caught lying? Raise your hand even higher. And they would raise their hand a little bit higher. I said, okay then. If you got caught, you're a bad actor. Now, I said, listen, I'm not teaching you how to lie. What I am saying that as in acting, you have to be convincing.
Right.
And you got Denzel Washington or whomever your favorite actor is, they were so convincing. That's why you like them as an actor. Right. So if you got caught lying, you weren't convincing enough.
So Caramoo House Theater is one of the oldest and most celebrated African American theaters in the United States. For someone who may not know its history, help us understand what that stage means, not just to you personally, but to the culture. What does it feel like to stand on that stage?
You talk about people like Ruby Dee, Ozzie Davis, Robert Guillaume, Langston Hughes, just to name a few. There were so many more greats that have come through this historic landmark of a place. When we couldn't go to any other theaters in the city, or let alone in the country, Black theater was right there. That was the Renaissance right there. So to be able to work and to perform on that stage, I mean, there were years, like I think I had 1 year, I think a couple of years, I think I was not working in education for a while. I think I did like 2 years straight of just straight theater. I just went from show to show to show to, I was just back to back. People were like, "You's a regular?" You would thought I was. Right. Whether it was a short play, a musical, a straight standard play. I mean, I even had a chance where my son and I actually got to be in shows together. So that was
wow.
Oh yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, that was amazing. So I think the very first show my son and I did was 12 Angry Jurors, or 12 Angry Men for some. And it was amazing. And so my father at the time, he came to see it. And he was because again, my father didn't really understand theater. I mean, he was around, but he didn't live with me and my mom and my dad, my mother and my grandmother. So it was, but my daddy was around, right? And so when he came, he was like, "This is what y'all do." He said, "Oh my God." He said, "Y'all good." He said, "Y'all really good." Because he had no idea. My father really had no idea, what it took.
So what does the audience at Caramoo bring to a performance that other venues do not?
Listen, I love the audience at Caramoo. They will give you the love and all of the energy. They just know, when to laugh, when to, you just feel the energy. I don't know what it is about being on that stage, and you can just feel the energy from the audience because you're giving it to them for the first time, whether it's opening night or it's the 4th week and we've been doing this show, every show has to be like it's the first time, but that audience is right there with us from the beginning to the end. And, and for them to ride with us that entire time. And then, and sometimes they'll come and they'll meet us after the show in the lobby, just to let us know how they appreciate it. Or you'll see family and friends. I remember there was this one lady, I don't remember the show, but I swear She came 4 weeks. She came every weekend. We did the show for 4 weekends. She was there every weekend. She's like, she said every time she comes, she's like, I see something different because she might be focused on me this week, but she might be focused on you the next week and focused on somebody else the following week. And she's every week I come, I'm learning something new. Wow. And I'm seeing something different. It's the same show, but it's like, I'm just amazed by what you all do.
So that venue was just magical.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, and to the point where you would think like, there would be days, even as a cast, it was like, are we ready for this? Is this gonna happen? And then all of a sudden, like almost like theater magic. Opening night, boom. I remember there was a show I did. I think I literally was still in the script the day before the show. I was like, I don't know, there was like some lines or some songs. I just could not get it right. I was still struggling with the choreography and something, but something magical happened opening night. And it all just fell into place.
Lights, camera, action. Your theatrical credits are remarkable in the breadth. That's from The Color Purple to La Boheme. Make sure I say that right. I said it wrong. 12 Angry Men to Ain't Nothing But the Blues.
Oh, that was one of my favorites. I'm sorry, I got excited about that one.
Those are completely different universes as productions. Walk us through what it demands of you emotionally and technically to move between worlds like that.
It's a journey. So I remember one time I was doing Aladdin on one theater, but then I was doing another show in another theater, and we were in rehearsal simultaneously. And there was a moment like almost like code switching because I had to remember where am I and all that, because you just got so much going on in your mind. And so the point, I think there was one time I was in rehearsal and somebody said something that triggered an Aladdin response as opposed to, let's say, a Color Purple response or something, or whatever it was. But I'm glad it only happened in rehearsal. There was some moment I had to do one show. I remember one show that my son and I did. Another show we did, and we did this whole show in blackface. It was a very race-related kind of show, and was very, very caricature, very Jim Crow-ish. And him and I were both in white. Well, actually, we were both in whiteface, and we were just having to unpeel those layers of what was happening to us as a community, as African Americans in that time period, and that every night taking off that makeup it felt so traumatic. Having to take off this white face every day. And to try to come back into the real world as opposed to being in this other generation.
Right.
It was hard. It was hard at times. Or I remember there was another show I did, and there was the character I played had been, he was the one being abused by his spouse.
Wow.
And he was ready to give up, throw in the towel, where at the end of the show, he goes in this whole monologue about why he just hates life, hates everything. Told his coworker, go on and shoot me. I don't care. Just take me out. It's probably going to be better than what I've been through. And just to having to find a moment in my own life to tap into, to become this character, to pull the tears. I mean, I remember every night I'm crying my eyes out like I was that guy. I remember posting a picture of me after I had done my makeup with the black eye and the bruises and the cuts, and I had posted the picture on social media. I usually the way to kind of promote the show, right? But I didn't. All I did was promote the picture, and I kind of quoted a line or two, and everyone thought it was at that time. They thought it was my ex-wife, and they was like, "Where are you at? We on the way. How dare she?" It's so real.
Wow.
And even on Facebook, I'm responding as if I'm the character.
Okay. Okay.
And people were so like, "Oh my gosh, what is happening to Anthony?"
So when did you get out of character?
Oh God, it took a while because even with that one, because we did that show for 5 weeks,
Okay.
and it took another 2 or 3 weeks for me to finally unpack and to cleanse my body and my spirit of that character because I was so caught up in it. That was a hard one. Yeah.
So
They were mad at her and she had nothing to do with it, but they just didn't know that because it was so real. It was so real.
So how do you get your students today as you're doing theater and drama? How do you get them to get that deep into character to pull everything out of them to put it on the stage and to leave it there? What do you do to get them to that point?
We just, I mean, there's a series of exercises and activities we can do to kind of pull that emotional moment or find that happy place. I'm good for, let's do these exercises where we get to just, let's go outside and frolic real quick. And let's remember what it means to be a kid and how to pretend. Or if it's one of those serious moments, how do we tap into a memory that you can connect with? Don't lose yourself in it, but how do you just tap into it? Was the first time your mama told you no, or you got in trouble, or maybe you got a spanking or something, or I don't know, just where can you, or maybe a death in the family, and maybe that's a traumatic moment that, what did it make you feel like? Let's unpack that. So it became very therapeutic at times. I'm not the therapist, but where were you then compared to where you are now? And can we learn how to just to tap into that memory?
Yeah. Ooh. Now what you're saying is some good stuff, but like you don't want to get too far into that because some people, when you open them up, I mean that could be way too much.
Yeah, and so I mean, and the thing is, that's when you have to learn how to, because again with that character I talked about earlier, right?
No.
The first time I opened up,
Yes.
I lost it.
Oh my God.
On stage. So where the monologue should have been maybe 8 to 10 minutes,
right?
I was 20 something minutes because I could not control it the first time. I couldn't control it.
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, even though there was a dry tear in the house, everybody was with me on the whole emotional roller coaster. They were with me, but it didn't have to take that long.
Right.
But once I was able to finally process it, okay, we took you back to the lab, so to speak. So we because that was like opening night. That was like opening night. I mean, because up until then, I'm just at that point I was just reciting lines.
Right.
It wasn't until opening night when I actually opened up.
Wow.
And I couldn't control it. And it scared me. So the next day we had a quick call rehearsal. So my director kind of helped me process. Let's unpack this. Let's now navigate. How do we kind of, he said, I'm not saying what you did was wrong, Anthony. We don't want to be here extra time than we don't have to be.
Right.
So we were able to finally get it within that 8 to 10 minute range of that window, of that scene.
Right.
Keep it moving. So I mean, it takes a moment.
So I want to move over to. I want everybody to know about your work as an author and the great works that you've done. Before we get into it, I want the audience to take a look at this presentation and remember, You guys, please make sure you look at this because I want to make sure that you go out and you get Dr. Brown's book because it's definitely one that you have to have.
What if your greatest breakthrough was on the other side of your story? Inspire Me Moments, Living Out Loud with No Regrets by Anthony Harris Brown isn't just a memoir, it's a mirror, a movement, and a map to becoming who you were meant to be. Through raw honesty, spiritual insight, and empowering reflections, you'll unpack your past, embrace your scars, and rise stronger. This book is for the dreamers, the educators, the men learning to breathe again, the women reclaiming their worth, and the leaders who lead with heart. You'll find real stories of trauma and triumph, tools for healing, and moments that remind you, the cape was never in the closet, it's always been in you. Inspire Me Moments, live out loud with no regrets and all heart. Get your copy today everywhere books are sold.
So that is, you guys go to www.aharrisbrown.com and purchase the book. First of all, Dr. Brown, tell us what inspired you to write this book?
Wow. I have been wanting to write this book for a long time. Okay, so I started writing it many moons ago and I would put it down, start writing it again, I'll put it down. And again, understand something for those who ever wanted to write a book. It's not the traditional where I used to think that, you had to lock yourself into a room and you had to, you're writing all day, or you got piles of paper in the trash can and you just pulling your hair out. I ain't got no hair. You're just trying to figure out what to do. You know what I did to help write this book?
What's that?
I would pick up this phone, turn on the voice recorder, and start talking into it.
Okay.
As I'm walking in the park, as I'm driving in the car, I'm recording. And that became the manuscript.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So how we now, that's unique. And I'm starting to hear that this is what a lot of people are starting to do. But I've never thought to do that when I did mine. But why that way?
So, because I was still debating what I was going to do. Now, mind you, also, again, one of those ram in the bush kind of situations. You didn't prayed about it. You didn't sent you the answer. You ain't realized what the answer was. So, mind you, there's a part of the book. You got to buy the book. Y'all, you got to get the book. Mm-hmm. So, but in the book, in the book, it's right here. So in the book, I talk about part of the book is a self-help book. It's a motivational book. It's a guide. It's a tool to help, hopefully, for you to be a better person. I sit before you today, and again, sometimes people won't even realize this, but I sit before you today, humbled and blessed that I'm I'm able to sit here virtually and talk with you. There was a moment in my life that I had lost my mind, lost my wife, lost my job, lost my mama, lost my daddy.
Oh, wow.
My home, lost everything.
Oh, wow.
And through that, depression, anxiety, all of the things started happening. I had gotten to a point where I was 450 pounds. Mm-hmm. I have a tattoo on my arm. Right there it is. It talks about, it's a set of dumbbells. On real close, it says 450 pounds. And people are like, that's how much you bench press? No, that's how much I used to weigh. This tattoo is a constant reminder of the weight I used to carry, and I had to take it off.
So seeing is really believing.
So I started this weight loss journey, and I started walking. And in my walking, I used to call it #walking ministry. And I would I would take out my phone, I would go Facebook Live or whatever, Instagram Live, and I would start talking to myself or whoever's on the line that want to talk with me. And we'll just have these conversations every day. And again, all those videos made the book.
Wow.
I just transcribed, I just took all the stories and I put them in the book. So then I talked about how I talked about the death of my dad. I talked about my relationship with my father, because that was trauma in itself.
Mhm.
Understand, I grew up not living with my father. I knew exactly who he was. I think this is when I first started acting. Again, I was 3-4 years old. I got in trouble. I got reprimanded. I got a whooping because I had to stop calling my dad at 4. And I would get a whooping if I said it. I had to call this man by his first name. I had to act as if he was not my father around my siblings. I was the other child. It was 3 boys ahead of me, and I have a sister younger than me. And my sister and I had a fight when we were little kids, and we were at their house. And I wanted my turn on the swing, and she didn't want to get off the swing, and so I pushed her off the swing because I wanted to do the swing.
Oh Lord.
It was my turn.
The playground.
It was my turn. And she said, I'm going home to tell my daddy. I said, I don't care. He my daddy too.
So
we ran home. We ran all the way home, and we went in the basement. My father was there. He had some of his friends over, and they were talking. And we went. He like, "What's wrong with y'all?" And we told him what happened. And Daddy, he said, "You his daddy too." And at that point, I had to be 7 or 8 years old. My father said, right in front of my face, "I am not the father." Like it was an episode from the Maury Povich show.
Oh. Oh my God.
That shattered me.
Right.
And that's when I learned how to code switch. Because whenever I'm around that side of the family, I had to pretend I was not a sibling.
Oh man. Oh. You know what? See, so I was just about to ask you in this follow-up question of, was there a specific person or conversation that made you feel urgent to do this book? That right there had to have been that moment.
So now, mind you, as years went on, we got better. I think after I lost my 3 brothers, all 3 of my brothers are deceased. My father got sick 2015 when my son ended up going to college in 2015. My mother got sick, had an amputation. I had to put her in a nursing home. My father got sick. I had to move him in with me. So the last 4 years of my father's life, he had to live with me. And I wasn't mad about it. I was not. When my sister didn't want to be bothered with him, his oldest granddaughter didn't want to be bothered. I said, "Oh, there's no debate. You coming home to live with me." And I took care of my father his last 4 years until he passed away. And that was that was the best days of my life. Some of the best days of my life. I mean, I felt like I was that 7-year-old that got to go back and be able to. I mean, I was back at daddy mode. I mean, I'm like, "Daddy." We go from daddy to dad, pops, old man. I was back in daddy mode, and I was so excited to have my father in my house with me. We would just sit and talk, and he would just give me these life lessons. So a lot of that is in here as well. So he actually told me, despite the mistakes he made, he hoped that I was able to forgive him. And at the end of the day, he wanted me to know that he lived his life with no regrets. He didn't regret what happened. He wished he had done something differently, but he did the best he could with the hand he was dealt.
So, living out loud with no regrets. That phrase carries real weight. What does it mean to you personally? Not as a title, not as a brand phrase, but as a philosophy you actually live by.
Again, just it is what it is. I don't care what anybody else may say about me. I'm me. I'm happy. I'm blessed. I'm not your average Black man. I wake up every morning with an S on my chest. Yes, I'm out here trying to save the world. No, I really do have an S on my chest. No, I'm serious. I have a tattoo, Superman tattoo on my chest. Yeah, because again, like my father said, no regrets. I'm just going to do the best I can with what I got, even though sometimes I even, like my son doesn't have sometimes my son and I had our differences and we had our growing pains. Now my son will call and tell me like, hey, Dad, I use your book in therapy.
Wow. How proud are you of that?
Oh, that I was like, wow, I was in tears. Didn't expect that. So, but every chapter is a standalone chapter. Those 11 chapters, they are interconnected, but you don't have to read them from 1 to 11. So there's a section in the book talking about the prelude that talks about if you're going through depression, turn to this chapter. If you're going through anxiety, go through this chapter. If you dealt with weight loss or going through a weight loss situation, go to this chapter. Family issues, go to this chapter. So like you don't have to necessarily read it in order. And then each chapter has like a workbook section. So it gives you a moment where you can write some reflection notes. Remember when I talked about some of those videos I was doing on Facebook or on YouTube?
Yes.
Even in the book, at the end of each chapter, there's a QR code that takes you to the video that inspired that chapter.
That's unique. I love that.
So it's very interactive. Yes.
So,
and the other thing I'm gonna say is that so part of what I do with the school district, I have a fatherhood initiative program, and one of my dads told me in one of our sessions last year, he's like, it'd be amazing if we had a curriculum or a book or a guide to help us navigate some of these conversations. I said, oh, you want a book? That's what made me go pick up the book and I finished the book. I said, let me go download all these videos. I had a couple of my colleagues help me transcribe everything and help me proofread and rewrite and edit everything. And within a year, I launched the book. Oh. Actually, the book is a year old. So I launched the book June of 2025.
Okay. So have there been seasons in your life when living out loud was terrifying rather than liberating? What did that feel like?
Oh my gosh, yes. So listen, there was a season where when I got a divorce. That was horrible. I hated that season in my life. I didn't know how to navigate it because again, I had been with my son's mother since I was 18. Mm-hmm. I mean, outside of my mom, she knew me the most. I met her the first day of school my freshman year in college. Mm-hmm. And so when we got divorced, I didn't know how to act. That was like my first love. I didn't know how to live or breathe because that's all I've ever known. Right. So, and that season was horrible. That was like, when people say a divorce is like a death. Right. Oh my God, that was the worst. Oh yeah, and even mind you, now today, my ex-wife, we're best of friends. Actually, we own the business. We have a whole. So our publishing company is called A Better Way Production. She's the president.
Okay.
Well, actually, the company was supposed to be called Anthony Brown's Way. That's why she's my ex-wife.
Okay. Okay, look, don't start then.
But we did resolve in everything you do, there is a better way. Right? So, yeah, so we get along great now. We work together. So we do public speaking engagements about HBCUs and do trainings for families. we go out and we do different workshops. I just booked us a gig yesterday. Oh yeah, so yeah.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, we still got to raise this boy of ours, even though he's 28. I call him my man child. We still still part of his life.
So, describe the writing process for you. Were you disciplined and structured, or did the book emerge in waves? Did the experience of writing it change you in ways you did not anticipate?
It changed me. There were moments where I had to go back and unpack things I didn't want to have to unpack. I let Tasha, well, Latasha is her name, Latasha. I let her read one of the chapters, and she read the chapter about my mother's death. And she was like, "You ain't right enough. You forgot this part." There were things I had totally blocked out because I didn't want to go back and relive that moment. I didn't want to do it. With my mom, I'm my mother's only child. So I didn't want to relive some of those moments. But she said, in order for this to be impactful for somebody else, I need you to go there. And so I had to really dig deep and really go there because she pushed me. Then I let my son read the chapter about how her and I divorced. And because he was at that time, he was like in 6th or 7th grade. He remembers some things. He's like, "Dad, you forgot something. You forgot this. I was there when this happened. I need more." Again, I didn't want to go there, but I did. So I had a couple people in my, who was helping me in the process that really pushed me. Because one of them, I remember my son telling me, and one of my colleagues told me, like, "Anthony, you are a storyteller, and it's so captivating. You kind of get me to a point, and then you drop me. It's like, but what if I'm that couple or I'm that person that's going through something similar? I need to know the through line, how you managed, what was your resolve, where did you find the supports, and now what's the resolution?" And speaking of supports, again, I'm not the therapist necessarily, but in the back of the book, I have a whole section of resources. I have a whole so like if I talk about depression, I'm gonna give you a resource page with links, phone number, things of that nature. If I'm talking about HBCUs, if I'm talking about anxiety, if I'm talking about weight loss, I'm talking about, "Hi, my name is Anthony Brown. I'm an alcoholic. I'm gonna give you a list of AAs." I'm gonna share all that. I'm very transparent. I'm not going to let you talk about me if I don't talk about me first.
Right.
So I'm gonna disarm anybody. Yeah, I was an alcoholic, and I dealt with it,
Right.
and dealing with it.
So can you tell us? Well, actually, where we at?
I don't know.
Um,
We're here for a good time, not a long time.
let me go to let's talk about your work in program management and what you do when you're working with parents.
Sure.
Can you tell us about your work as a program manager for people who are not familiar with what that role looks like in practice? Walk us through what your day-to-day actually involves, the decisions, the relationships, the weight of the responsibility.
Okay. How do I say this? I used to get in trouble for talking too much in class. Now I get paid to talk in classes. I get to travel the city, the state, and the country to talk to educators, talk to families about the importance of how to support scholars to the best of our abilities. That's it in a nutshell. I can sometimes, so in the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, we service about 33,000 students and their families. So I work with all of our schools and different departments to provide different programs and opportunities to really bridge it, being like that connector. Like, again, I talked earlier about how the mayor's office called and wanted to, like, hey, let's do something for next year. working on the back to school fair, the end of year celebration, the fatherhood initiatives, or any other variety of, college and career readiness, where I'm actually this month, for the month of July, June and July, we're taking families and their child to go visit various institutions across the state of Ohio. Because I think that going to college is a family affair. So we're going to go visit some institutions of higher learning, so parents can also ask those questions. So the idea is really trying to equip the parent with the right resources to be able to support their scholar better at home with the learning environment. And then at the same time, helping educators because sometimes educators like, well, these parents just don't understand. Well, because you haven't given it to them in the right way. You're talking to the parent, not the child anymore. So you got to break this down differently, And so, and I had to remind some of the teachers, like, you're also a parent. How do you want to be talked to, or talked with, or engaged with? So I always have to hit that reset button. So just finding those opportunities. So that's what I kind of do in a nutshell. And I think this is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've loved every job I've ever had, but this one now, maybe provide this impact, empowerment, and influence. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, right? Those are some of the things I'm able to do on a daily basis, and and then also just to be that sage advice, just bring some historical context, because I was that parent. I mean, because my son also went through the Cleveland Metropolitan School District system for at least half of most of his education. He started in seventh grade in Cleveland School. So I was there. I was that parent. I was that parent. I mean, even when he was in daycare, I was that active parent. All the way when he got to undergrad, I was that active parent. So yeah.
You center parents in your program work, which is not always the case in youth serving organizations. Why is that? What made you determine early on that parents are not a secondary consideration, but a primary one?
Because the parent is the first teacher.
Okay.
That's it, bottom line. I mean, I'm not saying they're the only teacher, but before they get to daycare, before they get to kindergarten, somebody at home taught you how to say your name, taught you some basic fundamentals. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, colors, numbers, the alphabet. Mom, dad, parent, caregiver, that was your first teacher. So we can never not involve the parent guardian in the process. Well, right. Does the roles change slightly? Yes. But that doesn't mean we alienate and forget about them. They are part of the process. Because I need mom and daddy to tell me, how do you deal with this at home? So I know how to deal with this at school. Johnny ain't tripping today. What happened? What happened? Or, I mean, listen, we know that, for some, medication happens for some. And you can tell. I had one child, I had a child one time, you knew when he was at his daddy's house for the weekend. Because he came back on Monday off the chain. You wow. This weekend. Dad, when you have him for the weekend, you gotta make sure you stay on that regiment. Yeah. It's imperative. Because it's impacting what's happening here at school now. Yeah. We got to work on this together, bro.
Yo. So what happens when parents are not included? What does that absence cost the program, and what does it cost the child?
I think it's a reflection. We understand that, history, statistics have shown us that when the parent is not fully engaged in a child's life, that child has a potential of not being self-motivated, not being encouraged, not feeling loved. And when they're not feeling loved, they don't care. Attendance could drop. Behaviors change, attitudes shift. We do a big event in September here in Cleveland, which may be spreading across most of Ohio, we hope soon. We kind of recreate almost like I like to call it like we like to recreate Father's Day during the school year, because Father's Day typically happens is in June, school's out. So we want to recreate that moment in September. So we do it the third Thursday in September every year. We've been doing it for the past 20 years, and we call it the Father's Walk, where we encourage father figures, mentors, that male figure to be able to bring their child to school. And we tell and we utilize and we even tell schools you can reimagine with it. This doesn't mean you just walk your child to school or just drop him or her off. But schools embrace father figure when they come in the building. Maybe do a literacy day in the library or in the cafeteria that morning, or that's a special time. Like, hey, Charles, since you're here. You Charles Senior? Oh, let me give your name and number and phone number, just in case I got another point of contact.
Right.
So we found that in most cases, attendance went up on that day. Behavior went down that day. The atmosphere was positive on that day because we got all these male figures in the building.
Wow. So, from your years of working directly with parents, what do you believe parents need most that institutions, programs, and systems consistently fail to give them?
A voice. We don't give our families, I don't think we give enough of our families a voice. I think for so often, for so long, we've just been telling parents, this is what you're going to do, or this is what you need. You don't know what I need. Mm-hmm. Not every parent is coming from a place of being what's the word I'm looking for? Disenfranchised, or I'm destitute, or I don't have. Sometimes we want to talk to all of our parents as if they don't have. Yeah. I'm not saying that that's not every family or every parent, but let's make sure we are providing opportunities for them to be able to provide their voice on what they need. Not every parent wants to come to just a parent meeting at 5:30 in the afternoon. Not when I don't know what it's about. Let's provide parents with an agenda ahead of time. Hey, parents, we want to talk about cyberbullying. That may be a trigger for some parents. Like, oh my God, thank you. My daughter's been dealing with this. I want to come to that meeting. Or my child is having some test anxiety. How can I help them at home? But just to say, Charles, I want you to come to this meeting at 5:30. And we're going to be here for 90 minutes or 2 hours. And you're like, for what? People busy. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that people weren't busy then, but let's make it impactful to say, either I want to make sure that I'm listening to you, and I heard you say this is something that you would like to have, or let's see what some of the triggers are happening in the building and how this connects back home. I do a lot of work. Again, I tie in my community from HBCUs, right? Being an HBCU advocate and being able to, because again, students in the college going process are curious about what are historically Black colleges, or that's a college of career readiness targeted audience. So parents were like, because my child wants to go, I need you to bring your mom and dad with you. All right. It's targeted. Mm-hmm. Or again, the dad said, I need a book. Okay, it's because you said you need it. Guess what I got for you?
Surprise.
Right.
I like that.
I'm listening. I'm always listening to what the parents are saying, because that's what they want.
Right. I think that's so interesting that you say that, because I think most I ain't gonna say most, there are a lot of educators that, as you say, don't listen. But when I think, as you say, when you're talking at the parents like some do to their students, that's not getting anywhere. And that causes a real serious big disconnect. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what was the thing that clicked with you that you understood the part of listening in your communicating process?
Because again, I was that parent. Remember, again, I was that parent. I was the one yelling and screaming and talking. No, I wasn't yelling and screaming, but I was the one always advocating and saying, as the parent, as the PTA president, like, "Hey, we don't want this. We don't want this. I'm in the principal's office. We don't want this. You know, if we're gonna have a meeting at 5:30, 6 o'clock, then I'll get some refreshments. You got to feed me. You got to give me something, a sandwich, chips. You know, because at this point it's dinner time.
Exactly.
Give me something to hold me over until I get home. Some people are like, I need childcare. Like, if you want me to come, that means I got to find what are you gonna do for me and my child. If I got to come to a parent meeting, okay, do we need to have a breakout room where we got another teacher or a parent who's available to go sit in a room with some of the smaller kids, and they got the crayons, and they got some books to read, and they got a homework table. Or here's one even better. For my son, went to a performing arts high school here in Cleveland, right? And so every time the theater department had a play, every time the choir had a concert, every time the dance department had a recital, those parents are going to come when students are on program. So if the play starts at 7:30, we're going to open the doors at 6:45. Everybody want to come get them a good seat. By 7:10, I'm having a parent meeting. I got a captive audience.
Oh,
I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. At 7:25, thank y'all for coming. Enjoy the show. Because you're already there.
Yep. So when we chatted before the show, I told you we do Black History 365.
We do.
And I asked you who were the most influential persons in your life and career. You told me it was your father, your fraternity brothers, and Odell Brown. Oh, you also said Pastor Reverend G.Q. Brown.
Which in memory, today would have been his birthday.
So can you tell us, you live at the intersection of history and the present as a performer, an author, and an educator, and a community builder. Why do you believe that Black history is not just something that happened in the past, but something that is actively shaping the present moment we're living in right now?
Listen, Black history is every day we wake up and live and breathe as we move. I talk about these individuals and so many more, as I said before. That's in the book, harrisbrown.com. You got to go check it out. Inspired Me Moments, living out loud with no regrets. There's a chapter in the book where I talk about, I'm going to say this, see if I can do this real quickly. I know we got time, we got to go. But I talk about in the book the power of brotherhood. And there should be 3 kinds of people in your life. And I talk about, from a biblical standpoint, I talk about everybody needs a Paul, a Barnabas, and a Timothy in your life. That Paul is that elder, that sage, that guide. That became Reverend G.Q. Brown, my godfather. Who really would, provide that covering, that spiritual guidance. He wasn't perfect, but he would always be able to provide that encouragement, that word, that understanding of, let me help you understand what this Bible means and how to apply it applicable to your life. Then also my father, even though it wasn't always the best at the beginning, but there were still those lessons learned from my father. That was my Paul. My Barnabas. It's like that's your ace boom coon. That's your brother from another mother. That's your one. That's your dog. That's the one who's gonna love on you and let you know, bro, I got your back. It's also the one who's like, bro, I told you not to mess with her. She's those scallywag. Don't do it. And you did anyway.
Caught up with you.
Ouch. Then you got the Timothy. that's the young person that you're pouring into, the next generation. So I call that was Odell. He was a young brother and also my son. But then Odell at some point he moved from Timothy to Barnabas because now he's a father and we became co-workers. Like some of my fraternity brothers. I remember Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I remember the Prince Hall Masons, so between the lodge and the fraternity, we got a kindred spirit and brotherhood in there that, they right there with me. And so for us, in those three levels, I find myself living and breathing this moments in Black history because every day we're able to carve out a path that somebody else may be able to follow and or walk beside and just be able to know that there's an example that we can live by or there's something that we can learn from. And that's all what history is learning from.
Yeah. Paving the way and making it better.
Mm-hmm.
Which figure in Black history has most deeply shaped your personal philosophy, the way you think, the way you lead, the way you show up, and what specifically about that person's life or work reaches you in a place nothing else has?
Ooh, that's a good. I ain't even gonna say it because I'm not gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it, Charles. You got me on that one because I was about this. So, side note to your viewing audience, listen, to everyone who's watching, again, America in Black and White, I would challenge you, go back and watch some of his most recent episodes. I've been watching some of his episodes lately, right? And I swear, every one of his guests, every time Charles asks a question, the first thing they say is, "Oh, that's a good question. Oh, that's a good question. Oh, that's a really good question." It's like, and they say it after every question. And I'm like, I'm not going to say it. He almost had me. He almost had me. But I am going to say that question again.
Okay. Which figure in Black history has most deeply shaped your personal philosophy, the way you think, the way you lead, the way you show up, and what specifically about that person's life or work reaches you in a place nothing else has?
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna stay current right now with this one. I'm gonna stay current. I'm gonna say Barack Obama right now.
Okay.
So that brother came in here like a mighty Russian wind and shook up some things. I had a chance to meet him when he was in Cleveland when he was still Senator Obama. And at that time he had not declared he was going for president at the time. But when he did, it was just amazing. I remember watching the results when he first won, and I cried.
Yep.
I would have never thought in my lifetime that I would see a Black man in that role. And for him to use that mantra, "Yes, we can," was so powerful to let us know that despite what America has or has not done, what may happen in our own personal lives, yes, we can. Listen, I know we probably catching hell and everything else right now with this current administration or however you may, on whatever side you may be on. It ain't always been easy. But if we have gone through 400 plus years of enslavement, what we going through right now, we good. Yes, we can. We can overcome this too. And I think that mantra and him, President Obama, bringing that to life meant something. And for him to stand on that stage with his wife and children with this hand, It was so powerful. I mean, I remember I was out with some friends. We were hanging out, you know, watching the election results. When it finally dropped, I'm calling. I was at this time, I was still married at the time. I'm calling my wife. She's like, I said, no, wake my son up. Wake him up. I need him to turn on the TV and see this. I'm on my way home right now. We have to watch this. I needed him to be able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even so much the fact for the first inauguration, we had to go. I said, oh, I got to go. We got to get on the bus. Now, I missed the Million Man March bus. But the inauguration bus, oh, we got on the
bus. You was there at the mall.
Oh, listen, it was cold. It was a cold January morning, but I had to get on the bus. Sure did. I sure did.
You know,
and I didn't just take him. I took a whole boatload of kids. I took a bunch of kids and a bunch of parents. I said, we get on the bus. Mm-hmm. I started planning that trip probably like a week before the results. Like, listen, if the results drop, we going. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, the very next day, we were already we were filling up the bus. Like, let's go. We ended up taking 2 buses from the group I was with.
Right.
I said, well, we going. A 1-tank trip. We sure did.
And so, you know, we're gonna actually have to. I guess we'll have to set up another time because we definitely got to have you back. But can you give us leave our audience with some words of wisdom and encouragement? How to connect with you via your social media, your website, how to get the book, all of those good things, if you would, please.
Listen, I would like to say real quick, no matter where you are in your journey, don't allow your current circumstances to define your future possibilities. Again, don't allow your current circumstances define your future opportunities. I just told some students this the other day. Your zip code may define where you come from, but it does not define where you're headed. Your story still matters. Your voice still matters. Your purpose still matters. Just like I said earlier, I used to get in trouble for talking too much. Now I get paid to talk. I was able to learn. I learned how to turn my passion into my purpose and my purpose into my paycheck.
There you go.
I need you to keep showing up, keep growing, and keep believing that your best chapters may be still ahead of you. So listen, more about what we do, how we do, when we do. You got to go to my website at aharrisbrown.com. You can see right here at the bottom, right there, is like the A Harris Brown official on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I don't use Twitter too much anymore, but I'm out here. We outside. We outside, and I don't have to be outside just in Cleveland. Listen, I just got back from San Antonio, Texas, about a week ago. Matter of fact, Charles, I got to come to Atlanta. I got to come to Atlanta later on this summer, so maybe we can do a meetup or something.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
So definitely, again, if you go to my website, aharrisbrown.com, you can find more information about the book, about all my social media platforms, all my links. You can learn more about who I am, or if you want to invite me to be a part of your program, activity, services. Hey, I got some clips from the Good Word. I don't know. Who knows? That's why they call me the good deacon doctor, Anthony H. Brown.
Well, look, so I want to thank you for being here, and I'm gonna get ready to close the show here in just a second with the monologue. But just in closing, I'd like to speak to you a couple of minutes afterwards, if you would, please.
Definitely.
But those of you that have been with us the duration of the show, I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you for showing up for each and every show that we have. But for those of you that have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channels, I ask if you would please take the time and support us by subscribing to the YouTube channels and enabling all notifications, so you're able to get the notifications when the shows are about to start. You catch them live, as well as you're able to go back and watch each and every show that we have, and you get to watch and learn all of the things that the professionals that come here are doing work to help to build our communities. So in closing, there are conversations you walk away from changed, not because someone said something you had never heard before, but because they said something you had always known in your bones and never had the right words for. Tonight was that kind of conversation. Dr. Anthony Brown sat with us tonight and gave us something rare. He did not give us the polished version. He did not give us the highlight reel or the rehearsed answer or brand ready biography. He gave us the truth. He gave us the Cleveland streets and his grandmother's prayers. He gave us the stage at Karamu and living room in a pandemic. He gave us the book written out of necessity, the podcast built out of love, the HBCU campaign born out of conviction. He gave us the names, his pastor, his father, his brothers, the men who built him, and he spoke those names with a gratitude that you cannot manufacture. You either earned that gratitude or you did not. The people in his life clearly did. What I want you to sit with as you carry this episode out into your world is this. The story of Dr. Anthony Brown is not a miracle in the sense that it defied all odds. It is a miracle in the sense that it required every single piece of it. The prayers had to be prayed, the sacrifice had to be made, the stage had to be walked, the book had to be written, the show had to be built. None of it was wasted. Every single act of courage and every single act of faith was a thread in the same tapestry. That is what America in Black and White exists to show you. Not a version of Black life that is safe for everybody's comfort, not a sanitized, simplified, compressed version of who we are. The full story, the faith and the doubt, the city and the stage, the grandmother's kitchen and the concert hall, the campus and the community, all of it together is the truth of Black life in America. And that truth deserves to be told, it deserves to be heard, and it deserves to be shared. So I'm asking you right now, wherever you're watching or listening, share this episode. Let someone you love hear this conversation. Let a young man who is standing at the stage of a decision about his own future encounter the story of a man who made the right ones. Buy the book, listen to the HBCU Alumni House Party show, tune into the HBCU Man Cave, support the work because the work is real, the man behind it is even more so. Dr. Anthony Brown, thank you for your time, for your honesty, for the life you have chosen to live out loud. You honored this platform tonight, and this platform is deeply honored to have carried your story. To our audience, as always, we are America in Black and White, and we will keep telling the truth until the truth is all there is left to tell. I'm Charles King. Good night. And go live out loud. You guys have a great evening, and we will see you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a great episode of Changing Trends and Times.